So today I'd like to show you guys how I detail strip this gun actually, and I'll start with the lower and I'll do the slide some at a time. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how I remove the slide. It's a bit unconventional, but that's how I do it. I'm gonna go ahead and clear the gun real quick. All right, there's nothing in the chamber, and then I'm gonna go to this notch right there and then just remove the slide stop. And then just make sure you hang on to the lower part of this when you pull the slide out so the recoil spring do not sprung out. Okay, all right, that's it. Okay, and then if you want to detail strip, you basically just remove the bushing, etc. So I'm not gonna do that right now. I will do the lower. Now I'm gonna, pardon my voice and my cheap tools, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. I'm gonna grip. All right, so there it is with the grip removed, and I'm gonna show you guys what's next. So basically the next thing to do would be to remove the thumb safety. Okay, so basically you're gonna have the gun cocked, okay, and then you're gonna put this thumb safety somewhere in between here, and then you're gonna wiggle it, and then it's gonna pop out. Now before you do that, make sure that you put your thumb there, this thumb over here, so that this plunger is not gonna fly across the room. Okay, all right, there you go. All right, so that's your thumb safety right there, and you're gonna remove this plunger. All right, and then after that, you basically simply remove the beaver tail right there. And the next part would be to remove this part right here. And then that's your mag well. Remove the mainspring housing. All right, and then remove the leaf, the sear spring, I think. And then the next thing to do would be to remove this part right here. That's where the pin for your hammer. And then remove the pin for your sear. And then you just simply pull this out. So that's how you fill strip. Sorry, and then there's one more thing I forgot. You basically want to remove this as well. Yep, that's a bit too big. And then you move the mag release, and you slot this out, your trigger. All right, now it's, as you guys can see, this is actually quite simple. It's not really that big of a deal. A lot of people nowadays are so into Glocks and stuff. They forgot that many of Glock's design actually derived from 1911. So there's a lot of other firearms. Excuse me, my language, my voice, because I'm having severe flu for for the past few days. Now this, in Glocks, your people who are familiar with Glocks, they know the striker safety thing. As you guys can see, this is basically this. It's quite similar from of 1911, where this thing actually protrudes in here. It's not necessarily the same, but it's I'm pretty sure it's influenced a lot by 1911. All right, excuse me. I have this mat right here for good measure. I mean, it's 1911 blown up diagram. You know, so I'm gonna go ahead and install this thing back. It's exactly the opposite of how you remove that. So this gun is basically oiled. I just oiled it yesterday, and then you know, it's still got plenty of oil. So I'm gonna start assembling this gun back. Now before you put the trigger bar back, put a little bit of oil on the slot where the trigger is riding on. It's a bit hard for me to do this on camera, but I'm trying to put it on that slot and put it on this slot as well. Okay, just a tiny amount, not too much. All right. All right, so now you're gonna go ahead and install the mag release back into position. And basically just have to turn that little screw right there, and then it locks the trigger back in place. So much more simpler than Glocks, right? All right, so the next thing to do would be to install this disconnector and sear. All right, now I'm gonna, this is probably one of the part where people are actually quite scared of. I mean, it's actually pretty straightforward. As you guys can see that hole right there? This hole? This part right there is actually protruding on that part. It's basically the disconnector. Okay, and then I'm gonna put it back into the, it's a bit hard, like I said, to do it off on camera. All right, so that's back in place. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and install the pin back. There you go. All right, it's back in place. I'm gonna put back the hammer. Now you're gonna have to put a little bit of oil. That's how I do it anyways. Okay, there's plenty of oil over there. A little bit, a couple of, you know, a quarter amount of drop of oil over there. And then I'm gonna, where's the pin for this? Is this the one? I think this is it. It's a bit of an awkward position while, you know, do this in front of a camera. All right, so that's that. Okay, after you do that, basically you would install the sear spring. Now make sure that you rest on this part right there on the disconnector right there, or else it's not gonna, your gun's not gonna work properly. It's a bit hard to do on camera, but okay, like so. All right, now that have to be sitting right there, or else it's not, the hammer's not gonna work. And you're gonna go ahead and install the mainspring housing. I'm gonna put some oil in there as well, inside that hole, because that part, it would be riding inside that. I'm trying to get this in focus. Okay. As you guys can see, that's not seated properly yet. Okay, now it is. Now make sure you do that correctly. Make sure the spring is seated on that disconnector right there, and gonna install back the mag well. See, mine has a mag well hole for the mainspring housing has a slot for the mag well, so we're gonna put that inside, and I'm gonna install the pin back in place. gonna flush it later. Now the next thing to do would be to install the beaver tail. Okay, like so, and then you put this back inside. Okay, the plunger spring. All right, and the last part to install back would be the thumb safety. Now the hammer have to be in a cock position. If that disconnect sear spring is not seated properly, the hammer will not be able to cock. So you're gonna make sure that thing is installed properly. You're gonna have to cock the hammer back while installing the thumb safety back. And then the tricky part right now will be to put this back while pushing the plunger spring without scratching your gun. Okay, it's very hard to do this. There you go. All right. The gun has been assembled. All right, so that's it. That's that, and all you have to do is basically just install back the slide. You know what? I'll do it as well. I'm gonna put this seated flushed. Pardon my lack of proper tools, I guess. Okay, now that's flushed. I'm gonna go ahead and install the before I do this, I'm gonna apply some oil on this part right here because I started to find some pitting on my firearm, on my gun. Okay, you don't usually have to do this, but I do it on mine because I live in a tropical country, and then I started to find some pitting. Look at that. See, those are pitting. Early stage of rust. Okay. Now you don't have to do this on normal 1911, but I'm doing it on mine for that reason. I'm gonna install this back. All right, now that's that, and then the next would be to install the slide back into the frame. Now, like I said, my way of disassembly of an 1911 is a bit weird, but I mean it works for me though. So I guess if it's working, you can't say it's wrong, right? Now the only tricky part right now is basically just to insert the insert the recoil spring, so make sure that it stays in place. A bit dangerous. All right, now, all right, have the hammer cocked. Now once that what's the right word for it, the guide rod clear, then you're fine. All you have to do is just insert this in. Okay, now go put it back into that slot, And then before you install that, make sure that the hole line up. Okay, just do that by doing this. Okay, that's looks pretty good. Hang on. And then I basically have to push this in, and then you're good to go. That's it. See, it's not that big of a deal. All right, thank you very much for watching. Appreciate the time. Click the like and subscribe button, and then I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.